Good evening, Lions Nation, and welcome to the season-ending edition of Roar Time, the Columbus Lions Coaches Show with head coach Jason Gibson, director of football operations. And man, you might be going through a little bit of withdrawal here with the Lions season having come to an end a couple weeks ago.
Not really.
You have a lot of activities that go on, obviously, with postseason exit interviews for the players and such. But the Lions season came to an end in Jacksonville, Florida, with a first-round playoff loss. This was the first time in 5 years the Lions have not gone to the league's championship game. In your general assessment, do you feel like this team met expectations?
Wow, good question. I thought we underperformed a little bit. I don't know, not really. I mean, we had a lot of rookies. We still made the playoffs. It's been a long 4 years going through all those rounds and going to the championship, and so it was almost like a kind of moment when the season ended a little bit. But we had a lot of rookies. Hopefully we can get a lot of them back so we can build on that, and that was what's expected. I mean, when you look at just at the NAL awards, I mean, we only had 2 guys get an award, whereas last year we had 7 or 8 or 9 or something. So, I mean, Jacksonville's got a lot of veterans, and it showed. So did Carolina. They both have a lot of veterans, and it shows.
Let's bring that up. 3 Lions players named to the second team, National Arena League team.
Right.
And relying on memory, Shadow Fentang.
Shadow Fentang got most improved player. Bones got second team all NAL.
Bones Bagante, second team NAL receiver.
And
it was, it's on the tip of my tongue, and I should have written it down for you here. A little more conversation will come out. Yes, Rose Walker.
Rose Walker, deservingly so. The thing about it is those votes are based upon, just so everybody knows, I mean, I thought a couple of people got shafted. I thought maybe Paris Mack was the Rookie of the Year, hands down, or even Chris McCullum. But they're voted on by the other coaches. You're not allowed to vote for your own players. All you can do is nominate them, and so the other teams vote. And it's kind of a flawed system. You got, players know players. When you get front office starting to vote for players who weren't even at games or don't even know who the players are, now it's just a name game. So it kind of skews the awards a little bit. But overall, I think for the league standpoint, I thought every player that won the major awards, Jolly, MVP of the league, I thought those guys deserved it. I mean, for the most part, most of the awards were pretty dead on. Sire got Coach of the Year, which he deserved. Coach Fuller got, Assistant Coach of the Year, well deserved. Those guys did a great job, and all those awards were well deserved.
I remember when we started the season here, we talked a little bit about expectations, and it was kind of an open grab bag. Did it at all surprise you that not only did Jacksonville win the title, but 15 straight W's to conclude the year?
Nothing surprises me. I thought the league as a whole this year was a little weak. Top to bottom, I thought it was weak. Compared to maybe last year, I think it was a little more balanced from a competition standpoint, even from a player standpoint. But one of the things that people don't realize is you look at, how many players got, with the AFL. I mean, we lost 55, 60 players as a league. I mean, that's probably 25% of your best players left. Mm-hmm. And so that saturates that depletes your talent level in the NAL. And so now, if you got a few veterans go to all one or 2 teams, it kind of sets itself apart. And but you got to find those guys. And I thought we found some great rookies that next year will be great veterans.
And we'll talk more about those in a moment, but I know that a very impactful loss this year was Mason Espinoza. 2 great seasons at quarterback for the Lions, and he did well, though not playing much at all. But New York of the
you got 3 players that are all league players that didn't play this year. That's Nate Isles, left tackle, which we had trouble at O-line. Darius Rosser, defensive end, and then Mason Espinoza. And you lose those 3 players. That's a difference maker. If you go to whatever team, take away their best quarterback, take away their best offensive lineman, take away their best D lineman, and say, okay, let's play ball. Mm-hmm. It makes an impact.
Were there any more former Lions than those 3 that played in the AFL this year?
There was a couple here or there that maybe had some stints in there. A lot of guys that we signed that never showed up because they went to the AFL. It's good. It's good for them.
Ultimately, the opportunities that are in the forthcoming XFL, you told us that week to week you'd lose some players for tryouts and such.
No, we lost some for tryouts, but it's good for them. I hope it makes it. I think it's a good league. I think it'll be a great league for the players. Guys that we got about 4 or 5 guys right now that are in the draft for the XFL that we'll probably lose, rightfully so.
Including some of those excellent rookies that you just referred to?
Probably.
Wow.
Probably.
Now, of course, they could come back to us after that season starts.
But you got to figure, you know how many people are trying to make the XFL right now? You got all the NFL guys that got cut. Then you got all the guys that didn't even make the NFL trying to get in. Then you got all the CFL guys. Everybody's trying to make it, and there's only so many spots. It's funny, I always say everybody can't be the bank president. There can only be one. And so when you start narrowing the field down, eventually a lot of guys won't make it, unfortunately. And I wish they would.
Last question before we get into discussing the championship game, which was a thriller. Did you feel that, unlike last year, the rash of injuries that we had late in the season, that we recovered to the point where we were competitive in the playoffs?
I thought we did. But then when I looked at our work comp at the end of the season and there's 13 guys on IR, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize we had that many guys banged up. The major issue for us was when you lose, there's only 3 offensive linemen in arena football. When 2 of your best linemen break their legs.
Not an injury that's day to day.
What can I say?
Okay, well let's talk about the Lions. Did lose first round to the Jacksonville Sharks, who wound up undefeated after opening night, and then of course the Carolina Cobras played well against the Mass Pirates, and they gave almost 9,000 fans quite a thrill down in Jacksonville last Saturday night. Did you watch the game and follow it?
No, I didn't. I didn't watch any of it. I heard about it. Somebody texted me. Still haven't had a chance to really watch it yet. So. Just didn't have a chance.
And I got to, though. But a couple things that I noticed was that early on, the Carolina Cobras, while scoring first, struggled to hang on to the ball. They gave up a couple of defensive touchdowns and really rallied in the third quarter and had this game in hand. They had a 12-point lead in the final minute, but opted to try to go downfield with the pass. Were picked off a pick 6 on third down. When Jacksonville scored, they were able to recover a very controversial onside kick and move it down in the final seconds for the winning score. It was a thriller, and the final score was 52-48, Jacksonville over Carolina. Somewhat of a fitting season end to the season.
Well, it's great for the NAL. From what I heard about the game and how it ended and coming down to the final drive, that's what arena football is about. That's what the NAL should be about. We had some great games. Obviously the Mass Carolina playoff game came down to the final play. Mm-hmm. And then the championship game comes down to the final play. And that's what fans pay for. That's what, big picture, that's what you got to be excited about. And, unfortunately, there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers. But at the end of the day, you want the league to come back next year. If you got any sense, that's your main priority. It's not always about winning on the field. Sometimes you got to worry about winning off the field, because if you don't win off the field, you won't be around to win on the field. And a lot of people don't get that. I do. But so for the league standpoint, what a great game, and I'm just so happy for our league the way it turned out.
Lions ownership was represented down in Jacksonville by managing partner Josh Blair.
Josh got Executive of the Year. Congratulations, Josh Blair. He worked hard for that, and he earned it.
Yes, he worked extremely hard, and wanted to say that he reported back, loosely that while last year at the championship game expansion was a hot issue, that it looks like our 6 teams are pretty solidly back for next year, with the possibility of a block of teams bought by a certain wealthy individual.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. So the thing about it is you can't sacrifice your goals of the league. For expansion teams. They got to abide by your rules or they don't play. Mm-hmm. They don't want to abide by our rules, then you're not going to play. And so, we'll move on. We got some other expansion opportunities there. And, I'll play with the same 6 teams again. That's fine with me. If we add 2 more, great. If we don't, we don't. It's not about – I think the problem with arena ball over the years, it's always been about, oh, my gosh, expansion, gobble, 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 gobble. and then they don't vet the teams, and then they fold, and then you get all the stuff that comes with the negative press. You're just better off playing what you have.
Yeah, there's a lot of coming and going with expansion teams in the offseason, and fans, of course, debate markets and former franchises that should do well again. But
could, should, and would have. But you got to have the right ownership and the right people that want to do it. You know, our ownership, you included, is community based. You know, we've been here for a long time. Same thing with the other owners in our league, which is what I liked about the NAL. You know the other owners, you know their values, you know what they want to do. Then you get a lot of these, you know, bottom feeder guys that want to slap out a whole bunch of tryouts and, hey, we got a team. Well, you're forgetting one part. You got to pay your bills. That's the most important part. If you don't have somebody that can pay bills, then you don't need to own a team. And you're about ready to see a whole bunch of teams pop up again, and you're going to see the whole thing happen over again. And it's just amazing that it keeps this revolving door like this.
And it's I guess the one realization is this is a legitimate 12-month year-round business.
13 months for us.
Okay.
People don't understand. We're already working, when it's on month 12 of this year, we're already been working a month prior for the next year. So it's 13-month years for us.
Yeah, and good news is the Lions have sold a lot of 2020 season tickets.
Yes, we have.
So far, and it's getting better and better. And you know, this was a year of internal change among various ownerships in the league, but we got some good people in this league, don't we?
We do. I like everybody in the league. I like the ownership. I like the direction. There's always some bumps here and there, but wow, you're right. I think our entire VIP section sold out. There's 2 seats left on row A. That's it.
Amazing. And I know I got one of them sold yesterday to a good friend. In fact, the corporate field level boxes that we're putting on the east sideline this year, exciting, eh?
Well, yeah. I mean, we kind of copied Jacksonville. They're the benchmark for the fans in the stadium, and they do a great job of the way they set up their corporate suites with buffets and free drinks and alcohol and beverages and things like that. So we kind of copied the model, and we're going to do the same things. We're adding 26 corporate field level suites, buffet, food, the whole works, brand new furniture, leather seats. I mean, it's going to be nice. It's going to be something Columbus has never seen before, and I think we've already probably had 3 or 4 companies purchase them already. We haven't even really put them out for sale yet.
And before we go to first commercial break, let's give kudos and thanks to the customers who have had these in the past and really triggered the trend. And I'm referring to USAA,
of course.
USAA,
Riley Heating and Air. I mean, those guys have a great time in their suite down in the corner.
Chattahoochee Scuba and Phoenix Paving and Maintenance.
Yep, they had some suites down there. You know, people that have gone down there. You know, there's been a bunch of people that have had a chance to experience the suites on game day. I think of Griff Gordy and Gordy Eye Care. We've had some people, other companies come down there. All-Star Heating and Air from last year, 2 years ago, had a good suite, and that's kind of set the benchmark and set the style of entertainment that we can provide. So I'm excited.
This sounds great. Things augur well for the future of the Columbus Lions. We're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, recognize and thank our sponsors of CTV Beam and Roar Time. See you in just a minute.
It's Love Your Car Month at Napa.
I love a good filter.
And whether you live under the hood,
Horsepower.
or have never popped the hood,
Door power.
your car deserves some love. That's why all month long, we've got great deals for your vehicle. Because when it comes to caring for your car, all you need is Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
Thanks, Dr. J. My back feels so much better. Now tell me where I can go for my headaches.
Really? You don't need to go anywhere else. That's what we do.
Well, what about my shoulder?
That's what we do.
Pinched nerve?
That's what we do.
Well, what about disc problems?
That's what we do.
Sciatica?
With almost 500,000 patient visits over the last 34 years, don't just take my word for it. Ask a friend.
Call Dr. J. Broadwin and Associates today.
Welcome to the Columbus campus of Georgia Military College. At GMC Columbus, students participate in community events, community service, and student activities. Join the excitement at GMC Columbus, a college for its community. Apply today at gmc.edu.
Collision
Collision Surgeons of Columbus, now at our new location at 5050 Warm Springs Road Connector. We've teamed up with JP Auto Care to create a one-stop shop for your collision and mechanical needs. Don't go into cardiac arrest. Come by Collision Surgeons at 5050 Warm Springs Road Connector.
Welcome, everybody, back to Roar Time, Columbus Lions Coaches Show. I did not properly identify myself. Your host, Rick Jacobson, with head coach Jason Gibson. 14-year veteran now, professional coach.
Ouch.
14 years and 13, of course, with the Lions.
Yep.
And getting now into his high school football coaching with Glenwood here in Phoenix City. We want to take a moment to, again, thank and show our appreciation for our terrific group of sponsors, not only of Roar Time, but of the live telecasts of the Lions home games and the ones that are carried from the road as well in the NAL. I'm going to read my list, and Coach is going to do his. Want to thank the Air Force Reserve Recruiting once again here in Columbus and in Montgomery. We now have our good friend T Sergeant Harold Floyd and his Staff Sergeant Jaime Gomez Lopez, good friends of ours, and they've been out at the Civic Center many times this Lions season. Georgia Military College, thanks to Holly Arnold for another fine year on Roar Time. Golden Corral, our friend John Gilbert couldn't do more for the Lions, could he, Coach? Jordan's Girls Gourmet Dogs had a big dog yesterday. The Big Lions dog is just a meal, a feast. And we thank Jordan's Girls for being with us once again. Midas of Columbus, thank you, Charlie Sutton, for what I believe is now 9 straight years as a Lions advertiser. Midas of Columbus, 2 locations. Motors Acceptance Corp., otherwise known in these parts as 1-800-NEW-RATE. Scott Richardson, a terrific friend and one of the best Lions fans we've got out there in the corporate sector. Sprague Supply, another one. Frank Winship, the Napa parts distributor for Columbus, Phoenix City, and Auburn. Texas Roadhouse, thank you, Jenna Temple, for feeding the Lions players all year long. They love the steak at Texas Roadhouse in North Columbus. And lastly, for me, Mark Overby and the Overby Company, Shredaway, some of the finest people to do business with in the Chattahoochee Valley. We greatly depend on them for our copier service and supplies and keep us running and humming, especially on game day. Coach?
Mine are quick, but they're good. Allstate Insurance, good hands catch of the game. Sean Garrity, B&B Beverage, they help do the Bud Light Party Zone during the games. Jay Broadwin's Broadwin Associates Chiropractics, located on Victory Drive, also on Edgewood Drive. He's our team chiropractor. Cheetah Bail Bonds, Keisha Williams, Collision Surgeons of Columbus, Rivertown GMC, the official truck of the Columbus Lions, and USAA. They do so much for us. They do so much for the soldiers here in the community. And I appreciate every one of them. There's great sponsors this year. Look forward to seeing you guys next year.
And it goes without saying that we have a big debt of gratitude to our producer, Toygar Isla, here at CTV Beam. And of course, to Melissa Gant, the VP of Operations, if I have her title correct, makes this all possible.
She's the VP of everything.
Okay, well, what a community resource CTV Beam is, and phenomenal partner for the Lions. And is it safe to say we'll continue this into 2020?
I hope so.
Okay. Well, moving forward, we thought we'd discuss a little bit re-encapsulate the Lions 2019 season. And what better way to do it by to discuss your quarterback scenario, which did not go as originally intended, and get into the backfield and receiving core.
Well, I thought Luke did a good job. For a while until he got hurt, he wound up getting a concussion, and that kind of ended the season for him. You can't play with a concussion. You're in a concussion protocol. But he was leading the league in all the stats. We weren't playing great, which is crazy, but he was leading the league in passing and touchdowns and everything. And but also he was leading the league in interceptions. So it was a kind of a twofold. But he did a great job for us until he got hurt. And then, of course, Mitch Kidd came in, and Mitch was our backup. He was a developmental player for us, trying to develop Mitch into a starting role. And then Mitch gets hurt. Then we bring Brian Hicks back from Orlando, and Hicks comes in, wins 3 in a row, gets us into playoffs. So we kind of have a revolving door at quarterback. All 3 of them are great players, and I'm appreciative for what they do. It's always fun to work with guys like that, and they all had a different skill set. So it was a different year at quarterback. But
obviously, you can't commit. But would you go the same route with the same guys, or will you have your eyes open for?
Oh, who knows? I mean, the season just ended. I'm just trying to figure out how to close things out right now, and everybody wants to step away and breathe, and we'll move forward. Hopefully by September, we'll start having some news of what direction we're going to go.
And they, of course, performance impacted by an oft-injured offensive line.
Yeah, that was really the downfall. I mean, when you get A.J. Harmon doesn't play center the whole year, who's the best center in the league, and he gets hurt, and Rose Walker's out, and I had to bring Deion Smalling out of retirement, and it was a lot of rotating doors there. Typically, when you look at our line over history, it's always been top tier, and I'm just not sure we really had it this year. I mean, we struggled not because of the talents. We had great talent. All the guys that played were very talented and good guys. But getting the unit, I mean, you look at Jacksonville, that same line played together the entire year. That's what you got to have. We just didn't have that.
Mm-hmm. How about Ronnie Barrow in that several, almost utilitarian type position?
We tried it. Ronnie did a great job for us. Unfortunately for us, he wound up getting a really good job in his degree. He had to leave, kind of late mid-season-ish. And so we had to struggle from there and move things around. And it was just a struggle all year long. I think we started almost 8 to 10 different linemen at one point.
And that kind of leads to another stat that I noticed in the league summaries. That is, the running game was not our strength this year.
Right.
We didn't have the numbers. We actually were outgained almost 2-1 by the visitors, by the opponents. But bright spot along the way, while Cam Petway didn't produce quite to the extent you'd hoped, Desmond Reese emerged as quite the threat.
It's amazing. Every year you find somebody or something that just is not really, that's not into the, well, I'm trying to think of the word I'm trying to say here. That's not in the standard. Desmond was not a standard, as far as what he can bring to the table. And it kind of evolved the offense. But obviously moving forward, Desmond's someone's definitely on my list for next year that can play. And he wound up with 8 touchdowns in the last couple games, and he was a red zone threat.
So completing the offensive side of the ball, we talked a little bit the receiving core. You mentioned Paris Mack and Chris.
Bones Brigante, Paris Mack, Chris Sanders. Purifoy came on late at the end of the year because he had a bunch of injuries from the year before. But I thought those 3 were exceptional. We had a really good group of receivers. Had some good young guys. You add Desmond Reese to the mix. Receivers was not an issue for us. Bones finished the season with 99 catches, almost 1,000 yards, 29 touchdowns. He was tops in all the categories, and he had a really good year despite missing games. Paris Mack missed 4 games. Chris Sanders McCullum missed 5 games. These guys all missed a lot of games from injuries and still figured out a way to perform. I love Chris's work ethic. I love Paris's work ethic. For rookies to come in, those are the kind of guys you want to keep around.
And in looking at the overall totals, I couldn't help but notice that only one player played as many as 13 games, Bones Brigante.
Right.
I think maybe Shadow Fenteng as well. But you probably had fewer players playing double-digit games. You really had to throw 35 guys into a mix of 21-man roster.
Yeah, as we're looking down the stats, that's a good point. It's a good bring up. I didn't even think about that. But, not to have the continuity that I thought we could have, it kind of hurt us a little bit, but we still got in the dance, still had a chance to win, and we still had a chance in that game, a small chance, but we were there. But I think the inexperience and the lack of continuity, like you said, probably did us in.
The defense, breaking it down, linemen, linebackers,
right,
secondary, a lot of SEC guys. You had extremely high hopes for them.
Yep. I do, and I still do. And a lot of those guys are going to be in the XFL next year because a lot of the guys we got were outdoor football players. We signed a bunch of SEC guys that are really, really good football players, and they're learning arena, and it's a different game. And so it was a learning curve early, but there's some great guys on the D-line. I wouldn't even know where to start. And, of course, Kendrick Washington's first year back. Yurick Jones had a great, good year. Michael Fanning, which I think is a stud. All across the board. I don't want to forget anybody out, so I don't want anybody to get offended and just really players off. Greg Hall battled through injury all year this year. Kassim Forbes, who I thought did a great job at Jack linebacker, despite his injuries. And then in the defensive backfield with Shadow and Dom Sanders and Kyle and Marte Maddox, it was just have some veterans there, which helped on the defensive back end. But defensively, we'll be better. I thought they had us in some games, and I think the offense is what struggled and kind of set us back.
And looking at the final numbers, it appears we were outscored only by an average of 48 to 46 points. Our offense down a little bit from
Offense
prior
was
years.
down.
But part of that reason may have been the inconsistent place kicking.
I was hoping you weren't going to bring that up.
Just not quite up to standards in the PAT side.
I mean, we just went through a lot of kickers. They're all great guys, and they all had shine in moments, and then they had their moments where they didn't shine, and everybody has that. But at this level, unfortunately, you have to shine. You have to be more consistent, and I think we have to find the consistency. So that was definitely a weak spot this year on the team. I hate to say it that way, because I don't want to think I'm throwing anybody underneath the bus. It didn't cost us the season, but from a pure performance, position by position, we needed to do better at kicker. So
yeah, it kind of brings me back to the memory of opening night where a game was just given to Orlando because you had no kicker at all. Yeah. And from there, it just was a year where we never had the Tyler Rouse, a big game, it seemed, with multiple field goals and deuces and some extra points. So we've sort of run through your team as it appeared in 2019. Anybody you'd like to give special credit to for, you think will be a multi-year Lion?
No, because if I do and I say that, all the teams will start recruiting and try and get them on their team.
Of course.
I know how that works. I do all the work, they come in and back in. So, no, but shout out to the coaching staff. Rayshawn Reed, Robert Risden, Brandon Thomas. Those guys were great. They've been with me for a long time. They make it so much fun. They're really good coaches. Couldn't do it without them. And obviously Robert Koss. Robert Koss is our operations guy that people don't see behind the scenes. And he is the go-to, do everything for me and for the Lions guy.
Fabulous guy.
And without that guy, not sure we can function. You got to have those type of people. He cares about the team, but he also he's really good at his job. He's a retired retired military, and Robert just, couldn't do it without you, man. And so those four guys, of course, people in the front office with Tanima, yourself, Terry Gore, Haley Dukes, that core of people that have been with us year after year after year, that not only does it become a great business working relationship, but you form friendships with them and you form relationships outside of the office, which is great, and that's what makes it great about football. So big shout out to all them. I appreciate everybody, love everybody. Couldn't do it without them.
At what point in the off season will the assistant coaching staff come together? Will you have your discussions about their?
We're already working on that. We're already trying to set up meetings. I've already got a tryout set up for October 5th.
Nice.
Garrett Harrison Stadium, 1 p.m. Information will be on the website. I've got probably, this is crazy, Rick, I've got over 300 applications for players trying. I can't go through them all. It's just impossible. Of guys that fill out questions. And some of them are guys that played at Bobby Joe Middle School. I get that. But still, you go through every single one and you turn up and you find the next Paris Mack. Because that's how I found Paris Mack.
What would you say is the percentage of that 300 that would be from the 25 mile radius of Columbus?
Ooh, not a lot. It's really a lot of them out of town.
Yeah.
A lot of them out of town. But guys write me left and right. I mean, I had 3 guys call me this morning before we even got here. So it's a daunting task. I could do personnel all day, every day, and still not have enough time to get it done.
And do you? I saw a couple new names on your list of fellas who help you with the scouting, recruiting side. Are they available to you at this time of year?
Yeah, absolutely. Gino Guerreri, Jeff Gonitz, of course. Everybody knows Jeff. We're looking at maybe bringing on a guy named Zen Bliss. Zen's going to come on. Zen's got a great reputation. Knows a lot of scouting. Knows a lot of coaches. So to be able to continue to build our scouting base and find players again, the Paris Macks of the world, the Chris Sanders McCullums, guys that you find by accident.
Would these guys be exclusively working with Columbus?
Yes.
And so they don't do this for multiple teams. That's great.
Correct.
Because as folks remember, we lost our player personnel director, and our good friend Clayton Banner passed away during the season. So you've had to change the way you acquire your players.
Well, it adds more to my plate, which is already, 3 plates full. So, yeah. But to be able to get these guys to help with it is huge. And Coach Reed helps out. He's a great evaluator of talent, so he wants to have a bigger role this year in the picking of the players. So.
Okay, and with that, I guess we should take commercial break number 2. come back and wrap up this edition of Roar Time. We appreciate everybody watching, and we'll be back momentarily.
Every day, men and women from communities across this nation serve as Reserve Citizen Airmen.
I am proud to defend our nation.
Proud to be part of a team that helps make a difference.
I am proud to be part of something larger than me and to serve my country.
We celebrate those who have served and those who are proudly serving in the Air Force Reserve. Our mission is to fly, fight, and win in air, space, and cyberspace.
I am proud to be a member. I am proud to protect our...
Proud to serve in the U.S. Air Force Reserve.
Hi, I'm Charles.
And I'm Tony with Midas here in Columbus, Georgia.
Did you know that 84,000 people in the Chattahoochee Valley go hungry every day? So we've partnered with Feeding the Valley Food Bank here in Columbus, Georgia. Every oil change feeds up to 5 people, or you can drop off food donations at either one of our locations. Together we can drive out hunger.
Come visit us at either one of our Columbus locations. We're located at 315 13th Street or 1631 Manchester Expressway.
Don't you buy no ugly truck. Get the Rivertown Buick GMC.
Get 0% financing for 72 months on new GMCs.
Get out that ugly truck and into this.
New Sierra 2500 HD with 0% 60-month financing. Tell them where, Smack.
Rivertown Buick GMC.
Rivertown Auto Mall on Whittlesey Road in Columbus. RivertownBuickGMC.com.
Don't you buy no ugly truck.
USAA gives me the peace of mind and the security just like the Marines did. At one point I did change to a different company with car insurance and I was not happy with the customer service. We have switched back over and we feel like we're back home now. We're the Williams family and we're USAA members for life.
Not back now, baby.
In 3, 2.
Welcome back to Roar Time, everybody. And this brings a little bit tear to my eye here, the final segment of the final Roar Time of 2020. I'm Rick Jacobson with Jason Gibson, head coach, director of football operations for the Columbus Lions. Like he says, a 13-month job. And while we do get a little bit of a breather now, are you getting some family time with the kids?
I have kids.
Oh.
Yeah, of course. It's good. I get to hang out with my kids a little bit more, but you know, during the football season, they travel with me and get to hang out, and they're getting older, so they're more, they understand everything a lot more. They understand the games. It's fun. So, you know, I'm a huge NFL guy. I love the NFL, so it's kind of fun for me, the off season, that our season runs right into the NFL season, and then, you know, I get to watch games that I don't care about the outcome. You know, that's my relaxation. Usually every weekend for me out of the year, you know, my life depends on whether we win or lose, whether it's with the arena team or with the Glenwood. And to be able to watch NFL games and have not a care of who wins is fun.
Native Marylander, went to school in West Virginia. So who is your favorite NFL team?
I don't know. I kind of just watch Patriots.
That's easy to do.
I mean, I like the Ravens. I've always liked the Ravens, but you know, I like the Falcons. I just don't like the NFL teams kind of shift around so much. I enjoy players. I enjoy watching certain players perform. I think that's what's great about pro football. You know, I want to see a good game. I'm not necessarily a diehard, you know, Packers fan or diehard, you know, all that stuff like that. So, you know, when Brett Favre was playing, I loved watching the Packers. When Barry Sanders played, I loved watching the Lions. You know, I like watching good professionals that are great at their skill.
Well, I will claim to be a lifelong New York Giants fan, and the other day I actually came across, looking through some old files, an autographed black and white photo of Fran Tarkenton from an appearance he made in my hometown. I remember that shopping center appearance. We're talking 1966 or 67, way back then. So, giving away my age, let's take a moment to thank and recognize there are 5 companies that have week in, week out sponsored certain players of the game with us, that we'd like to thank them and recognize them. We're reaching back a little bit if we go back to the first round playoff game. So first, once again, the Midas of Columbus Player of the Game has been something that Charlie Sutton has sponsored for 10 years perhaps. And we thank Midas of Columbus for sponsoring the overall Player of the Game. Then we have the Air Force Reserve defensive Player of the Game, Air Force Reserve Recruiting, the Sprague Supply, Napa Parts, Offensive Player of the Game this year. Previously sponsored a Catch of the Game, but that is now handled by Sean McGarity,
Allstate.
Allstate Insurance, the Good Hands Catch of the Game.
Correct.
Always fun to pick that. And we had a variety of players win that this year, not receivers, maybe half the time.
I think one was Deion Small, won it on a big-time catch at Carolina. So
the Good Hands Catch of the Game, sponsored by Allstate, Sean McGarry. And then finally, Collision Surgeons of Columbus always sponsors the big hit of the game. And
it was good.
You had fun trying to track those down week to week.
Yeah, sometimes it was a little tough. Sometimes we don't have any big hits. That's the problem. But no, 5 great sponsors. I love doing those awards, and I appreciate everybody that was involved. As we look forward, going to 2020, making it bigger and better, and we got a lot of really cool things coming on board from a league standpoint, from an ownership standpoint, from a team standpoint, and we'll take a break here for about 5 minutes, and then we'll start on next season with ready to rock and roll.
I want to talk to you too, because you'd mentioned able to spend some time with your kids, and you seem to be very pleased with the development of the NFL Flag Football League.
Yeah, it's pretty big. I'm excited for next year for that league to get even bigger. It was really probably the best year we've ever had it. I mean, I thought the games were fun. It was inside. The kids got to learn a lot, and next year could be even bigger and badder. And so I'm really excited for that league. And I'm also going to try to work with the NAL, the National Arena League, and expand that to all the other teams in the league as well.
Very nice. Yeah. How many others have had the league? Anyone else?
0.
Okay. So we're going to get the Jacksonvilles and the Massachusetts going.
We're going to try, see how they can get it going.
Okay. And then understand, too, that we have a revitalization of the Lady Lions coming back.
Yeah, I hope so. I think Katie Joe is going to take over the Lady Lions and get them going next year and get that back. So there's a lot of work to be done, and people are like, hey, what do you do now that the season's over with? I'm like, you have no idea. It is a 9 to 10 hour day with 100 million phone calls, getting things lined up. It's busier in the off season than it is. There's 1 month out of the year that it slows down, and that's from December 1st to January 1st. That's about the only time for me that it can sort of slow down.
And quite honestly, folks, you start from square one or 0 every off season. You can take your best advertising partners and sponsorship partners, and the negotiations and the sit down and reviews
starts all over again.
Yeah, we have to show you how we did, discuss tweaks and improvements, and make sure that room has been left in companies' budgets for the Columbus Lions, and you prove yourself every minute of every day, every day of every year.
So we're going to start all over again. So big year, good year. On to the next 2020, here we come.
Right, and I'm going to mention this too, that for each game this year in 2020, there will be a target community. I'm going to get us out regionally into places that we started this year, a couple years in Lee County and the Valley area. Next year, I hope Peachtree City and Noonan, and perhaps Eufaula and Dothan, and perhaps get out to Marion County, Buena Vista, which is a football hotbed as well. And meet our fans in LaGrange and Troup County. I hope I haven't missed any area, but within 75 minutes, 90 minutes of the Columbus, Phoenix City area, there are a lot of folks who we believe, their closest and best sports entertainment option, particularly for Saturday nights in the spring and summer. So, folks, you don't have to send your money or spend your time driving to Atlanta. We've got good professional arena football right here in Columbus, and no one else has a 14-year veteran coach who has won 65% of his games in a career that has taken him to Columbus and kept you here.
Yeah, been here for a while now.
So he's modest about it, folks, but he is among the premier coaches in this sport and in all football. And we are very, very lucky here in Columbus to have Jason Gibson. So with that, I think superlatives have pretty much run the course here. We thank you so much for your viewership all year long. Again, thanks to CTV for providing the airtime and to televising Lions home games, carrying the road games via YouTube and produced locally. We could not thrive without it, and we thank everybody involved. Fans, we need you with us for 2020. Thank you for 2019. Let's build a great future together and keep growing. Thank you so much.